What's up, guys? It's another episode of Off the Post, and I'm your host, DJ Redcap. Yes, I'm broadcasting from a foreign location. I cannot disclose where I'm at, or they will come and torture me a bit more. As you guys can see, we are doing another NWSL review. I'm sad that I missed out on the Friday review. It looks like Karen had a good time with her friend Winters out there in Seattle, but we'll ask her a little bit about that. We'll also see what Jen Carl is up to. Let's first go to Jen Carl, because I want to see what she's up to. Jen, how you been doing?
It's been a crazy couple of weeks since the last time I was on a show. It's been a while. I went back to school, so I'm taking all my classes now, and I'm dying. Work as usual. I got engaged since the last time I was on the show, so it's
Yes, what in the world? You're doing everything with your life before you come back.
It's just been a whirlwind lately, so it's nice to kind of take a breather, and I have homework pulled up in the background right now, so I'm only kind of sort of taking a breather. But it's nice to be able to just chill out and talk about some women's soccer.
Sounds good to me. Why is that overlay doing that? Turn. There you go. Good. Yeah, we're glad to have you back on, Jen, and hopefully you don't get married again the next time before we have you on, we don't want you to keep getting engaged constantly. So, also, Karen, what have you been up to lately? Tell us how your Keelan Winters experience went.
I have no words. She was a great guest. She had a lot of great things to say, and it was an honor to listen to her talk at all, and to talk to her. And she had so much to say about Seattle Reign, the organization, about her teammates, about her coach, and she had almost nothing to say about herself, which I think says a lot about how she is as a person. And it was crazy that she announced her retirement the day after we did that episode.
Right. So we can say we actually talked to her before. That is pretty nice, huh?
You're special. No big deal.
That's true. We're not a big deal, but in our own heads we are. So that was awesome. I think Karen did a good job hosting. It was great. Sad I couldn't be there, so good to hear that.
We were sad too, even though I called you a slacker. I was teasing. We were sad.
No, they weren't. So, guys, as you know how this goes. Use the hashtag off the post if you want to tell us something that contributes to the show. It's that time again. But if you'd like to know why I like to sniff behind my dirty fingernails and then sometimes eat out of them, use the hashtag DJ Redcap, and I can give you a brief description of what I do and why I like to do that. So let's continue on with the show, guys. And we're going to first start off with Orlando versus Sky Blue. We're going to go over to Jen Carl first. Jen Carl, what were your thoughts on this Orlando versus Sky Blue game?
Yeah, game, right. I've seen you eat a lot of things pre-show, DJ, but that's a new one.
Yeah, I have hidden secrets.
It was good for me. I'm always, I don't know what it is about me, but I'm always cheering for Maya Hayes. So I'm constantly talking about her on the show. So it was really nice for me to see her get the game-winning goal. It was also really nice for me, sorry, Orlando fans, I'm not actually sorry, that they got knocked even lower in the standings. Just being honest here. So I think both goals were pretty solid from the Sky Blue side. Sam Kerr, everyone always gets excited when Sam Kerr scores a goal.
Always.
So good on her, good on Maya Hayes. I think, the fact that Sky Blue came out and they were eliminated, but they still played like they had, and I don't want to say they had nothing to play for because, they always play to get better and to improve and to work on their chemistry and everything else. But the fact that they came out and played like they were still playing for first place in the league, I think speaks volumes about them and their team. So I really enjoyed seeing that from Sky Blue. As far as from the Orlando side, Kristen Edmonds getting her goal. I think she's a very underrated player. Mm-hmm. So it was really good that she got out there and managed to score a goal because she's kind of one of the unsung heroes for Orlando, in my opinion, as few heroes as they have. So, I think for both teams, they still, even though they're not playing for playoff contention at this point. I think they're still playing like they have something to prove. So it'll be interesting to see them come out next week and see how their performance is, at that point. Because I know that Sky Blue is playing Portland, who is a playoff team. So I'm going to really enjoy seeing how they come out and if they still have that same fight in them that they did against Orlando. As far as anything, remarkable, I thought, I think it was like the 34th, 35th minute or something, that Hayes had another chance.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kerr did as well, actually. And, it was the first one, Cami Levin, shout out to her, because she probably stopped a pretty solid goal there. And then O'Hara had her feet on the ball a couple of times. But, for me, it's just a matter now of them trying to get it together for next season. And
Yep.
I think them ending on positive notes will be good for all of them. So.
Nope, I agree with that, and I was glad how Sky Blue played this year. I had them finishing really low, and I mean they've fought in every game for the most part. They've looked better as the season went on, and really it's just planning for next year. So we'll really see where this team goes and how Holly continues to build the team to the way he wants to. That was a real thing this year. It looked like he was really forming the team to how he wanted them to play and the players he wanted on the team. So I'm really behind Holly, and I believe he'll really form this team next year to make them a team that'll really push for the playoffs. Moving on to the next game, we'll talk about that team that everyone loves to talk about, CRS versus FC Kansas City. Karen, can you give us a brief idea of what you thought about some parts in this game?
Yeah, well, it ended in 0-0, which is, I think, pretty typical for a game like Chicago Red Stars against FC Kansas City. I think last week was a very rare occurrence where we saw, at least this season, FC Kansas City really, really, really played super well.
Yep.
And they dominated the game, and they knocked Chicago Red Stars down a few pegs. Maybe not in the points or the standings, but at least I think for a lot of us who were trying to get into the playoffs, it was really good to see FC Kansas City take Chicago Red Stars out a little bit. But then this week happened, and they kind of pulled back into their usual FC Kansas City tone, which is kind of just doing what they have to do to not get scored on. And it looked like both teams kind of did the same thing, doing what they had to do to not get scored on, but then not, I don't know, the attacking force of both teams was just not there, except for, I mean, Heather O'Reilly is always on, she's on her game every single time you see her play. So she was definitely putting forth the effort. I think Chicago did a lot better closing her down in this game than they did in the last game, which was good for them. But I think just overall, the game was just a lot of playing in the middle of the pitch. And every so often, one team would get a chance, it would go that way, and then it would go that way. But for the most part, it was all in the middle of the pitch. And we saw a lot of Kansas City getting really, really good chances, and then Alyssa Nair just robbing them blind. And I've said this before, but I think Chicago wouldn't be in that playoff spot if they didn't have Alyssa Nair as a goalkeeper.
Right.
She has saved their asses so many times with ridiculous saves that I think lesser goalkeepers wouldn't make. And the Red Stars would not be in the position that they're in right now if they had a lesser goalkeeper. Say that about all teams. I think Spirit is a team that would do well no matter who their goalkeeper was. I think there are teams like Portland probably would do pretty well if they didn't have an amazing goalkeeper in Betos. Same with maybe Seattle. but I just think that Alyssa Nair has legitimately put Chicago Red Stars at the top because she is amazing. And for me, she was the star of that game. She was the player of the match because she is the #1 reason that Chicago Red Stars have that 3rd spot in the playoffs.
Nope, I agree with that, and it'll be good to actually see her. It'll be actually good to see her getting some starts, hopefully under Jill Ellis with the U.S. Women's National Team. So can't wait to see that and see where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
But, I guess we have to touch on the Dash versus Breaker game, or do we really? More so, I want to talk about Cleo High. Girls, I'll go with you first, Jen. You think she should get a call up anytime soon?
I think it needs to at least be considered for sure. I mean, I don't know that she's going to be ready to just hop on into the roster, but she should definitely be starting to make some appearances at camps. I think, having that exposure to the national team will do wonders for her. She's already such a strong player. Obviously, she's right now. I think she probably has the best shot for the Golden Boot. So that says a lot. But just her decision-making abilities on the field, I think, is what really separates her from a lot of other players. And I think if you put someone like that in the national team, she's only going to get better. She has so much potential to get better, and that's the scary thing about her. Not being a Houston fan, it's terrifying knowing that she's only going to get better. So I definitely think we should probably see her get a call-up at least to camp pretty soon.
Yep, and Karen, you want to give any quick thoughts on call-up or no call-up for her?
Oh, she definitely deserves to at least get into camps, like Jen said. And there's just an extra level to playing with the U.S. Women's National Team that might not be there with the National Women's Soccer League. You hear people like Kim Little talk about how the National Women's Soccer League was where she wanted to go because it's such a faster-paced game and all of this. So I think USL is pretty good, and Kalia Ohai gets a lot of experience in being the captain of Houston Dash right now. But I think when you put her in a I almost said camping situation. You put her in a camping situation. If you put her in the camp with the rest of the U.S. soccer players, there you go. I think that she's going to get amazing experience because when she's playing on the pitch for Houston Dash, she's playing with really good players. She's playing against really good players, but honestly, there's no better player. The women that are going to be at the camp for the U.S. women's soccer team. So just giving her that exposure is going to be good for her. It's going to be good for the Houston Dash. And I think Jill Ellis would do well to have her be a part of the camp too, because she probably has a lot that she can give to other strikers who maybe are having trouble finishing. Alex Morgan. She's doing better now. She's doing better. Sorry, Alex. Yeah, she's still coming back. She's gonna be fine. But yeah, I think Ohio has had some crazy finishing results, especially the last couple of games. So I mean, she has a lot that she can bring to the camp, and I think the camp would do wonders for her. So I think she deserves it.
Sounds good. See, Boston fans, we didn't rip your team. We were nice enough where we made that segment about Cleo High because we're nice like that, always on the Off the Post. All right, guys, let's move on to Portland versus West New York Flash. Jen, can you give us a little bit about the Tobin Heath versus West New York Flash game that you liked?
Tobin Heath.
Okay, fair enough.
No, that was
Karen.
That was such an interesting game because I was, as some of you probably know, in between a rock and a hard place on this game. So like I was sitting there the whole game saying, "Go Flash, go Tobin, go Flash, go Tobin," which was really unfortunate. But that being said, I thought Tobin actually had kind of a meh game up until the last, I'm going to say 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Really got in there and it started playing like Tilton Heath. And I credit a lot of that actually to Western New York because they did a really good job of shutting down the left flank and forcing Portland to play over to the right side, which was huge, especially because Liz Eddy doesn't normally play in that position. And knowing that, you know, they have someone who's not comfortable necessarily in that position going up against a player like Tobin Heath, I think the whole team realized they had to focus on, you know, kind of trying to direct where Portland was going with the ball. A couple of other notes that I had, aside from wanting to punch the commentators in the face for Nadia Nadim's name, Nadia Nadim's penalty was not a penalty.
Well,
putting that bluntly, I mean, that's just, if it was so weak that, you know, you probably shouldn't have counted that. That being said, it did give Portland momentum. And then we got to see Christine Sinclair score a goal, which is, you know, it's Christine Sinclair. You expect nothing less of her.
right.
But I thought, you know, Portland, they were getting hammered the entire first half. The whole first half, I think, up until that PK, was just Western New York just continuously coming at them. So I think Portland did a really good job of holding them off. You know, we've talked about Portland's back line and how Sonnet has a good shot at Rookie of the Year.
Right.
You know, so I think it's a huge testament to their back line, to Michelle Betos, that they held off Western New York for as long as they did. On the flip side of that, Western New York was down 3-0, and they came back and scored 2 goals against a Portland team that doesn't give up late goals, ever. And I think that was huge for Western New York to have that fight in them, because previous Western New York teams would have just been like, well, all right, we're done. And that was it. So the fact that they came back and scored 2 goals in a sold-out Portland crowd speaks volumes to them. So super great on Western New York Flash. The other thing I wanted to note, they were down 3-0 because Dagny Brynja's daughter decided to come, you know, skipping out from the bench and score a goal right away, because that's just what she does, because she's Dagny Brynja's daughter and she can do things like that. So, you know, I think that says a lot to the type of player that she is, where she's always ready. You know, she doesn't need the time to get adjusted to the field. She doesn't need the time to get adjusted to her position. She can just come in. You could probably stick her back in the goalkeeper position and she would be just fine. So that's a huge testament to her as well. But overall, I thought it was a great game from both teams at different times. But they both played really well when they were on. So it was a good full team effort from both teams, I think.
Agreed. Flash is a team that's definitely grown on me. I enjoy watching them this season. I especially enjoyed it when they actually started finishing a bit more, so that they made it enjoyable. I really want to see what this team does in the playoffs, though. Big picture. I want to see what this team's actually going to be all season. Probably upset a lot of people, because you know everyone's going to be like, Portland's winning the whole thing, or, you know, the Spirit definitely can win it all. But it's, you know, the Flash should be a team that can shock a few people and actually take this whole thing as well. I think they're on their best day, they're as good as anybody. So we'll see where they go. And now, Karen, can you take us home with that Seattle Reign game?
Yes, I can. Obviously, it was a very nice game for me to watch for multiple reasons, not just because my team won, but I mean, it being Keelan Winter's last home game in front of her home crowd with her people, her family.
God, I wish we would have had her on the episode.
Right? That would have been great if we could have gotten an interview with her.
Little off the post, man. If we could have did that.
Partnered, okay? No, it was just a solid game from both teams, honestly. Both teams put on a really solid game. But that was Seattle Reign at their best, and I really don't think there are very many teams in any league that can take Seattle Reign FC when they are playing at their very best. And it's a testament to Washington Spirit that it was only 2-0 with Seattle Reign at their very best. Honestly, I think Seattle, they got a few chances. It's just that they put 2 of them in, but they didn't really get that many chances. They held the ball a lot, and they defend really, really well. When they are on their game with defense, the entire team is defending, and I think that's what really sealed the game for them. You had Megan Rapinoe, who last game she played, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that. And then she comes into this game and she plays 75 minutes. And those 75 minutes, she was tracking back and doing defense, like crazy defense work. Jess Fishlock seemed to be wherever the ball was defensively, she was there making blocks, making stops. I think there was one part of the game where I think it was Ali Krieger did a corner kick. She almost got an Olympico because she swung it in towards the goal, and Kopp had to make a save. Making the save, Jess Fishlock was just behind her, I got this, just in case. And it just she was just always there defensively. And I think the fact that it was more than just the Seattle Reign backline, more than just Haley Koppmeyer, says a lot about how much Seattle Reign really, really, really wants to get into the playoffs, even though it's definitely probably going to take a miracle, honestly. It says a lot about the team that they wanted to do this for Keelan Winters, and that they wanted to do this for themselves. You could just see it. And I just think that the want from Seattle Reign was just a lot higher than that from Washington Spirit. They already have clinched the playoff spot.
Right.
All they have to play for now is the Shield, which is important, obviously. But it's not as important as the desperation from Seattle Reign. We're gonna control what we can control, and we got to get our 3 points. We get our 3 points. We go into the next game. We try to get 3 points again. I mean, their destiny is out of their hands, honestly. They are waiting for Boston to put on some sort of miracle performance against the Flash and beat them. That's the only way that they're going to get into that 4th spot. And that is, honestly, that's going to be really tough because Boston doesn't have a great record against the Flash, even though they tied them last time they played. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm not counting Boston out too much. Or hopefully I am, I guess. But yeah, it was a really good game. I think Spirit looked really, really, really dangerous on set pieces. Ali Krieger's almost Olympico, for example. And then there was that one in the second half when was late in the game. They were all just scrambling, trying so hard to get that goal when it was just bouncing around in there. And Kopp was in there punching things away and batting things away. And then finally she caught it. And then there was right at the very end of the game, it was an almost goal from Spirit, and Carson Pickett just happened to be there and kick it away, which was insane. So I mean, Spirit on set pieces is insanely dangerous, and honestly, throughout the season, Seattle Reign hasn't been very great at defending set pieces, but they got their shit together in this game because they did really well. So yeah, and the Keelan Winters goal was it was like a movie. Somebody wrote that. and put it into a movie. It was insane. I couldn't have even possibly guessed that she would have scored a goal in that game, and she did, and it was insane. And it's that celebration with Keelan and her team was so emotional. Like, I don't care which team you support. It's really hard to have any kind of disrespect for Keelan Winters or to dislike Keelan Winters. And watching her get that goal was just, it was crazy, crazy emotional. So yeah, that was amazing. And just listening to the way that Laura Harvey talked after the game about the team and how that was their best performance and all of this stuff, it was just such a good night for a Reign fan. And I don't think Spirit fans have anything to be ashamed about either, because Spirit put on a really good performance too. It's just Seattle Reign, when they're on, it's really hard to beat them. So good luck to Houston Dash next week, because it's going to be hard. They're going to be fighting for those 3 points again. And I don't know if it's going to be different because they're going to be at Houston, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to next. Well, it's not next week, the week after next week, because they're taking that break. Because I really want to see if Seattle Reign puts on that kind of performance again. And it's going to be interesting to watch Boston against the Flash, see if Boston can pull an upset and get us into the playoffs.
Right on. Let's see what Boston does. All right, guys. Very good, very good. That was a fun review right there. So we're going to pick our players of the week, and then we're going to quickly talk about how bad the U.S. women's national team is going to blow out Thailand. So my player of the week is Kili Ohai, because when she stops scoring, I'll stop picking her. Who do you got, Karen?
I am going to pick Keelan Winters as my player of the week.
Aw, it's like you almost talked to her last week or something. Jen, who do you got?
I am going with Alyssa Nair.
That's a good one. Yeah, because Nair doesn't get enough credit, I feel like, at times. I'm glad, Karen, actually, you gave her a bunch of credit, too. But, yeah, I like that one. Good picks, good picks. All right, guys, so I guess we can pick a score, just talk about a game real quick. I'm not really thinking much of it. I think it's going to be one of those old-school beatdowns, score about 5 or 6. You know, they should really let players that don't get a lot of play time play, and then we can see what they are about. You know, I mean, how much team chemistry is it going to be from just running through a team that's probably not going to be much threat anyway? It's going to be like a tidal wave and a little stick standing there. They're going to break that stick. All right, Karen, your thoughts on that game?
Oh, man. Tidal wave.
It's a tidal wave coming for tidal.
I'm like, I don't know. I think that because there's going to be, I think there's a lot of disappointment from the Olympics. So I don't know if that's going to impact the team negatively or if they're going to come out and just, like, destroy. And
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I even heard of anything about the Thailand team.
I just heard about them last week.
I don't know anything about that team, DJ. Nothing. So it's going to be interesting to see how they perform. I think that's probably going to be the more interesting part of it for me. Going against a team like the U.S. So we'll see. I think it's probably just going to be something like 3-0.
No, that's cute. That's nice. You always will have a ticket to Thailand to hang out, you know. Very good, very good. Jen?
Okay.
Be ruthless.
No, you know, Thailand, I have to give them a little bit of credit. You know, they did play, I think this was their first World Cup that they played in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, you know, they didn't get absolutely destroyed. You know, they picked up a win against the Ivory Coast. And then they fell 4-0 both other times, once to Norway and once to Germany. And those aren't teams that, you know, are taken lightly here.
Right. So
the fact that they lost 4-0 to the German team, who just came out as Olympic gold medalists, you know, I don't think it's going to be as much of a beatdown maybe as most people think it will be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that also depends on, like Kay said, how the U.S. comes out. If they come out of the gates pissed off, swinging, really grumpy that they did not get a medal, I'm picturing all of them walking out with like their grumpy game faces on, like.
Oh, I hate when that happens. It's like a team's about to get beat down.
A whole bunch of grumpy cats coming out of the tunnel. Then I know that, okay, they're not going to have a great night, and Thailand is going to really have a very unfortunate, ride back home. But it's really up to how the U.S. comes out.
That's true.
I think for me at this point, they've got something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
They have something to prove, not just to the world stage, who watch them in their minds fail at the Olympics, because that's really what it was to them. Us as fans, we sit back and we say any given day this could have happened, but in their minds it was absolutely a failure.
Right.
So they have to prove something to the world stage. They have to prove something to themselves. So I think they're gonna come out swinging. They're not happy.
Give me a score. Give me a score.
You know what? I'm gonna mirror their World Cup losses. I'm gonna go 4-0.
All right. And Karen, you said what? 3-0 or 2-0?
3.
5-0. All right, guys. This is another episode of Host. I'm your host, DJ Rick. Hopefully that joke didn't make you throw up too much. We'll have filthier ones as the year goes on. All right, guys. Well, why is everyone's face looking like that? Go on. Anyway, guys, I gotta head home. It was good talking with you. We'll definitely be doing a U.S. Women's National Team show. I think Saturday, because I think that'd probably be actually a better time. I was thinking Friday, but Saturday, so look out for that. And we will talk to you all soon. So let's all start waving, and I will end the episode like that. Oh, that point. I like that, Karen. I'm gonna do that.